Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm doing a tarot reading for Monday, September 22nd, 2025. And as I shuffle, I'm getting an idea of the overall energy for today, kind of tapping into that. And as a reminder, if this does not resonate with you, then please move on. So, lately I've been getting dreams about my grandfather, my mother's father. I called him Pepe, and I didn't really know him very well my whole life. And then when I was in high school, he was diagnosed officially with Alzheimer's. And so I think it was then that I really started to spend a lot of time with him and my grandmother. And I would visit them all the time. I would go to their house and just kind of, be there for them. And even like towards the end of his life in 2011, the end of like 2010, 2011, the beginning of 2011, people, I guess, started calling me the little nurse, and I didn't know that until his funeral. And so, it's interesting because recently I went to a retreat with my therapist, and that was about like the shadow self. But during a meditation and during breath work, someone helping told me that she saw a man, probably in his 20s, like putting his hand over my heart and kind of helping me heal through that way. And at first, I didn't really think too much of it because, my grandfather was not exactly a nice man. And I remember him being extremely bigoted growing up. I remember him favoring my sister, my oldest sister, because she had blonde hair and light eyes. So it just kind of like was this, I always saw him as this kind of mean old man. But now I'm thinking, like, maybe since he's passed on, it's been like 14 years, that maybe in a way he kind of learned the error of his ways. And with how he treated people, and how he realized maybe that wasn't so fair. So I think my grandfather was a complicated man. And I guess I've been kind of wanting to do a reading about it. It's been like a week and a half maybe 2 weeks since I did the retreat. And, it's just kind of been nagging at me that I wanted to kind of do a bit of a more personal reading, I think. And then I think what I'll do is go into the reading of, the general kind of consensus. So I think, as I was shuffling the deck, this card fell out, the Four of Pentacles. And I think perhaps that maybe after my grandfather died, passing on allowed him to really kind of reevaluate his views and see that he was kind of a jerk his whole life. And I don't blame him because it's how he grew up. his mother was not exactly present. His father was, doing the best that he could with 6 children or something like that. So I think with the Four of Pentacles, he in the afterlife or whatever is starting to really kind of maybe reevaluate what he did with his time on Earth when he was alive. And I think in some ways it's kind of an indicator that he's found peace. Yeah, and so I pulled the World card. So with this card, I think, like, he really kind of realized that what he was doing during his life was not exactly the nicest kind of thing. So he kind of put an end to that. He realized that this is not something that he wants to be remembered as. So maybe he's been visiting me through, like, dreams or just daydreams too, that in some way he's sorry for how he treated other people. We have the Empress card here. I think, well, I'm not actually sure with this card next, but I'll pull a clarifier just to see, because yeah, I'm not really sure. Okay, so following the Empress card, we have the Death card, and I think in some way this is kind of like the death of his bigotry and his ways of thinking, like these sort of toxic masculine ways of thinking, and I think in some way in death he was kind of able to embrace more of the feminine and, be that kind of guiding light, that healing kind of wholesome presence. But this happened after his death in 2011. Oh, interesting. And on the other side of death, we have the Emperor. So this is the divine masculine, right? Like I said, we have a lot of major arcana here today for my grandfather, and I think that, like, this could have been like a major shift for him after he died. And I think in some ways he now, like, posthumously, he wants to kind of embrace the sort of, I don't really know, the divine masculine as well as the divine feminine, and find some kind of balance. Right. So it's kind of like a new thing for him at this point in time. We have the Page of Cups, and it's like a new kind of emotional experience for him, something that he's finally, 14 years later, starting to realize maybe this is kind of something that he needed to do in waking life, but is finally starting to realize in death. And it is kind of like, this scary kind of leap of faith into the unknown of the emotions and the unseen kind of world of how things have shifted over time. And I think now he is seeing more of he's seeing more compassion, I think, than he did when he was alive. Next we have the Queen of Pentacles. So, like I said, with the Four of Pentacles, he's really kind of reevaluating what he did, his actions when he was alive, and he's really starting to kind of see that it was sort of misguided, and I don't want to say it was wrong. I think that because there's never any like black or white. I'm sure he did things out of, reasons, and I'm not trying to make any kind of excuses for him. I'm just trying to kind of lay it out there that maybe now, after he's gone, he's really kind of realized the error of his ways. And I think he's trying to really mend things. We have the Three of Swords in the afterlife. I think he's really starting to realize that what he did hurt other people, because he wasn't exactly the most, I guess, emotional person. He wasn't the most nurturing person. I think, that because he grew up in a difficult household, it's just, he's really trying to kind of mend that trauma and move forward with how he is in the afterlife, I think. And normally I don't tend to do readings about the afterlife or, people who have passed away. But for some reason, he's just been really on my mind a lot lately. And we have the King of Wands. So I think with all of the past trauma that he may have caused with my mom and my aunts and uncles, he's really starting to realize that his values were incredibly misplaced. That he was very a selfish. He was this kind of energy, the upside down or reversed King of Wands. And I think in death, so many years later, it's really just he wants to mend whatever it is that he did. And he wants to do it like he's realizing now that his priorities are more centered and focused on other people instead of himself. And he's determined too. We have the Chariot. He wants to really fix things. He wants to help, right? And I think it's kind of weird because he's been like in my dreams for the past couple weeks, and it's just something that maybe he's just extremely determined to help heal the past that he caused, the problems that he may have caused other people. And I know that there are still some resentments of, you know, his children, my aunt and uncles. And so I think he's kind of coming to me to really kind of bridge that gap. And I'm kind of the intermediary to show others. We have the Seven of Pentacles. I'm kind of the intermediary. Yeah, Boston's coming out. So I'm the intermediary to really show people his legacy. Really kind of showing people and guiding people, and really helping others understand that it's not really his fault. I mean, sure, he should have taken responsibility, but that's kind of water under the bridge at this point. But I'm not defending him by saying that it wasn't really his fault. He was kind of the product of his time. Yeah, I really don't. I don't know. Oh, I see. We have Judgment. He wants to be seen differently. And I think now he's really trying his hardest in death to sort of reverse what he did and kind of change and flip that way that we see him or saw him as a human. In the image, I'll show you. So I think in this one, he's the angel, and down here is like my family, kind of waiting for him to show that he showed some sort of remorse, or has some sort of remorse after his death. And he's trying to, like, mend the social contract he had with my family. We have the Two of Cups. He's really kind of trying to make amends in some way. And maybe it's through me. You know, it's kind of like a partnership that maybe he keeps coming to me through dreams that he wants to mend something that he broke a long time ago. he wants me to shed light. We have the sun. He wants me to shed light on his I don't really know how to say it, on how sorry he is, I think, on how he realizes now that he was kind of a disappointing father figure and a disappointing grandfather figure. So I think, like, he's trying hella hard. Like, he's really trying hard to get this message through about his remorse of everything he did or didn't do. I'll pull one more card and then do a top and bottom read for this. Oh, I see. So we have the Seven of Wands. He's realizing that he put us in this situation and that he's trying to express his remorse through me and just his regret for treating others. So we have the Six of Pentacles and the Nine of Pentacles. The Six was on the top and the Nine was on the bottom. And so I think with these two, it's really just about, like, rebuilding that foundation, rebuilding how we saw him, how my family and I saw him. So with the Six of Pentacles, it's like there's still a little bit of hope that we can kind of change our views of how he was, and to recognize that he really built this sort of legacy with his family, even though he was not the most pleasant person to be around when he was alive. I think through me, he's trying to show me that he built this family. He built the life that my parents live, or helped build it. He helped shape that. And I think there are lasting resentments that are going to be difficult to really kind of move forward from. But I think with the Seven of Wands here and the Sun and him really coming through me to really show his regret for things that he did or didn't do. So he's finally recognizing that he put us in a difficult situation, he put his family in a difficult situation, and really wants us to look at the facts, acknowledge that, and then, forgive him. And, you know, growing up, I never really understood, like, I wasn't around him much growing up, and I think, like, that was hard for me because, you know, he had radiation therapy, because he had throat cancer from I think he worked in, like, a mill, and there was asbestos, but, I think, yeah, I really don't remember him well, and I kind of wish I did remember him more, but, anyway, that's my more personal reading for today. So I'm going to do a quick reading for everyone else. And so I'll do a couple cards for everyone. I don't want this to be too long, this video. Some of us are starting new projects. We have the Ace of Wands. Someone's handing us an opportunity. They're literally passing us the baton, right? So, like, here, you take the lead, you lead us. So, yeah, this person's done with what they're doing. So they want us to look at their harvest and kind of move forward with that. So with the Seven of Pentacles, it's really just about, like, look at all they've done. It's like their time is over, and it's our time to really kind of take the reins. We have the King of Swords. So we have to do things a little bit differently than this previous person. Maybe a lot differently. So this person is asking us to really kind of look at the fruits of their labor and move it forward in a strategic kind of way, in a just kind of way. And this could be like, you know, kind of like in a law kind of way. So like maybe the justice system or a lawyer or something. Oh, excuse me. Ugh, I always yawn. So yeah, take this into, like, you know, new hands doing something through justice and the righteous kind of way. We have the Queen of Pentacles, and this is really just about, like, doing this in a kind way, like really kind of focusing our efforts on everyone, like, as a whole, as opposed to people who do things just for themselves. So this is really, with the Pentacles, it's about, like, the values of everyone and doing it with a clear head and really kind of moving forward that way. Yeah. We have justice, right? Like, do this in a just way. Do this in a kind of, I guess, logical kind of powerful way with the King of Swords, right? So King of Swords and justice, like, those are, like, you know, kind of like stand up for what's right. Really kind of move forward in a compassionate way. We have the High Priestess. So really kind of, you know, we may not know the outcome, but that's okay, and that's okay to kind of move forward, even though we don't know what might happen, and do the best we can. Sorry, I have my window open and there are so many cars just going by. Anyway, we have the Six of Cups. So this is kind of like looking back to like where things were really good for us, and kind of holding on to that memory and using it as a blueprint for how to move forward with this Justice and the King of Swords, as well as the Queen of Pentacles. Really, like, think about what makes us happy. And, you know, we're kind of going to start a new venture into something a little bit more material. So we have the Ace of Pentacles, and maybe not something more material. I'm thinking more along the lines of like a value system. So really kind of reassessing where we are now, and realizing that what we're doing now does not align with our value system, and that goes with Justice, the value system. A lot of like, you know, Libra, Gemini, Aquarius energy here with Justice, but with the Ace of Pentacles, that's more like, yeah, that's more of a value system, like creating that new thing, that new value for what we really believe in. And now we have the Five of Cups, and you know, it's the minor arcana death card, but I really think with this one it's really just about like looking at our options and how to move forward, picking how to move forward and choosing consciously how to move forward and not letting our emotions get in the way. Like, we have to do this with a clear head, right? Like with the King of Swords energy, we really have to make our choices wisely. As, you know, well as the, you know, with Justice, it's encouraging us to really think about things before we act on them. And we have Judgment again. So with the Judgment, which is interesting because it's under the Justice card, this is going to leave us in a place for others to really kind of look at us and really be jury, judge, and executioner, so to speak. Our judgment currently is at an impasse. So the way that we view things right now is more like, you know, the wrong type of judgment. Or not wrong type, just misplaced faith, or misplaced values in a system that is not just or does not value the rule of law. Like, we really have to go forward. I just did a top and bottom read. We really have to move forward fast. So we have the Knight of Swords on the top and the Wheel of Fortune on the bottom. So we really have to move fast. Otherwise, this sort of window of opportunity will really like pass us by and we'll miss it. So, yeah, I think like the time is now to really kind of make this decision, to really kind of allow ourselves the grace to move forward with how things are panning out for us. And this could be anything really, from like an individual perspective to like a political perspective, to like a general kind of perspective. So I think, like, take what resonates and leave what doesn't. But, like, I think we're at the beginning of something new, right? And to really kind of focus on what we value and treasure the most. So that is my reading for today. I know it's a little longer than most others, but I did 2 readings in one, so 2 for 1. Anyway, that's all I have. So bye, everyone.